everyone, and welcome to POST Puroresu bonus. My name is WH Park, and this is like kind of a return. We haven't done one of these in a couple of months just because of the recording schedule between myself and John usually, and just, we don't, if we do one like in the mid-month, it's kind of hard to do another one later in the month. So the timing of this worked out for August, and I'm really excited about this particular episode of POST Puroresu because I get to do a full-on show with someone who I wanted to do a podcast for a while with, and that is the busiest man at Post Wrestling outside of John Pollock and Wei Ting, and that's Andrew Thompson. Andrew, how are you, my friend?
WH, I'm glad to be here, man. I'm really, really excited about this. As me and you were talking about over here, we damn near had a full-blown conversation before we even got started recording. I'm gonna appreciate you bringing me on, man, and I can't wait to talk some graphs with you.
And for I don't know who would not know like what you do at Post and on your own stuff, but like you do the Bushby and Thompson podcast with my good friend the Brigadier Martin Bushby. You do the Nubian Wrestling advocates with Nate Milton and other people, and you do your own YouTube channel interview stuff that's blowing up because like you get all the great names out there and get put over by Chris Hero and stuff, and then you, of course, like all the writing you do for Post Wrestling on the site, and like maybe like like gunning for you is maybe like John Cena and Mark Buckledy, but you're still the king to me, bro.
Nah, man. Everybody at Post does a great job, man, and I'm glad to be a part of the team. John and Wade and all of you guys have been very welcoming to me since I started. And you want to know what's crazy? I think today 2 years ago was when I started writing for Post. So it's kind of a cool thing. It's either today or tomorrow or the 30th, which when I started writing for Post. I don't know which one. That I don't know if you guys remember, but Wei had read the email that I sent to John when we did the Up Next games with Davey Pullman and Braden Harrington, and Wei got the victory on me over that because he read the email I sent to John about working at Post. So there you go. Wei, because of that, me and Wei forever got beef, and I'll never forget it.
Well, hey, like Wei's my Asian brother, but you know what? Like, I extend the brotherhood to you, my friend.
Well, for sure, I appreciate you, man. You
know what I mean? Like, I remember, like, oh, who's this guy? Who's writing these reports? Like, wow, this all this content. It's not John. Oh my God, it's this new guy, Andrew Thompson. And I started hearing you, and then like, oh, you got a YouTube channel. You're doing all these interviews, and I'm like, whoa. And then I felt it just blew up in the last kind of like year and a half. Would that be fair to say?
No, I think that's 100% fair to say. I really don't know what happened. I think just I don't know. I just try to keep consistent at it. Like I think that's all I really can do is just be consistent at it, keep going at it. And I know now I'm not gonna be able to pull in an interview every single week, but I like whenever I go to these conventions whenever I go to these conventions, man, I just try to get as much as I possibly can without being a bother, and like just try to keep it professional and stuff like that. And I try to line up as many interviews as I can, and just try to put good content out, man, and that stuff people can enjoy watching and viewing and stuff like that. And for the writing portion, man, I say since 2017, that's been like a big passion of mine. So I just enjoy writing, man, putting good content out there. I just like, I don't know, I just get like a thrill out of it. So it's always been fun for me, and I just want that sort of passion to keep stay within me, man.
Well, I'm gonna say this, like I think the momentum you've been building is momentum. It's great, like and not some bullshit WWE like context of fucking momentum, but like true momentum. Like I feel like you're riding this really amazing wave of momentum, like in your career, especially with your YouTube channel that we're definitely gonna plug at the end of this. But like where you're gonna be like turning down interviews, I feel be like like fucking I don't know, like some WD guy is gonna be like, hey, I'm allowed to talk to you. And you'd be like, I don't want to talk to you.
No, it's like with WWE and Impact, I'm pretty sure like, well, not WWE Impact, WWE and AEW, and like most professional wrestling companies, you got to go through their PR team to get interviews with them, and that's kind of how it goes. Like even with New Japan, I remember I tried to line up an interview with a couple of interviews, like with Juice Robinson or like a David Finlay, and you got to go through some of the proper channels to set those things up because they're under contract, of course. So like I mean, there does come a rare occasion when I'll be able to finesse my way into an interview with somebody who's under contract, and I always try to make the best out of those. And then I mentioned John had hooked me up with the fight interview to the fight people to get the interview with Christian. So I was able to do that, and that was a really cool thing for him to do. He passed that along to me, and yeah, man, it's always cool talking to independent talents as well. I do enjoy doing that. It's like you got to put in like that extra amount of research in because like there's not that much information about them, and I try not to ask the same questions that they would normally get. Like, and I know some of them probably get tired of getting asked like, do you watch this product or that product? 9 times out of 10 they probably don't give a shit. So I mean, like I try not to ask stuff like that. So yeah, man, it's cool, man. And I feel like I'm building some little itty bitty steam behind me. So it's cool, man.
And also, like, I have to say, I'm a big fan of the show you do with Martin Bushby because, like, I'm a big fan of Martin Bushby as well.
Martin is the GOAT.
He's the GOAT, definitely. Let me tell you, you haven't known Martin Bushby until you go out drinking at a fake Irish bar in Tokyo until 2 a.m. and just like talking about everything under the sun. That was a really good fun time I had with him and his wife Lisa over in Tokyo before the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. And but like the most recent episode, at the end of your most recent episode of the Bushby and Thompson adventure, you wanted to talk. You're talking about like NXT and the melodrama that came out of like Shawn Michaels is looking at his fucking hands bullshit thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I love you. Like, who knew what kind of garbage that would spawn? Years down the line. But you started referring to like something that happened in a match between Damian Priest last year between Damian Priest and Keith Lee, and then you referenced some kind of comment I made about this tweet where someone like kind of like uploaded the like footage of that the clip of that match, right? And you couldn't remember because you started laughing, and Martin was like, "No, what did WH say?" So I was like, yeah, I was listening to this. I'm like, yeah, what did I say? I don't know. I can't remember what I said 2 weeks ago, let alone a year ago. So I got to give credit to their man, Neil Flanagan. He's not my man. Their man. He's intellectual property of John and Wade. Their man, Neil Flanagan.
Intellectual property.
Yeah, he is. I make no claims to. I never
shout out to Neil, man.
Shout out to Neil Flanagan. He's listening right now. He's like, ooh, WH mentioned my name. Ooh. But he found the tweet and it's a clip. The original clip is from Shane Silver at Global Force Gold. And he's showing this clip of like Damian Priest about to hit Keith Lee with a cane, right? And Keith Lee stops him. He's kneeling right now. I'm watching this clip right now. He gets up and he fucking says his catchphrase, I am limitless. And my response to Shane was, what the fuck does that stupid catchphrase even mean in that moment? And this is the one that made you laugh because I sent it to you. I was like, was this it? And you were like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. All right. Like, I'm hoping like maybe me actually saying it makes it actually funny.
See what happened was like when I was in the moment, like I remembered the comment that you said because Martin had brought it up like about the so sort of some of like the more theatrical moments of the pandemic era wrestling that we seen, and like when we started getting into NXT, that comment had came to my head for some reason, and then I couldn't remember what you said, so I think I started making up stuff in my head that made me laugh, trying to remember what you were trying to say. And then when you sent it to me, you were like, was it this? I was like, yes, that's it. And then you were like, was it that funny? I was like, nah, but I think I was making stuff in my head to make it funny, but it was still funny though.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. Like I just was like listening to you laugh, and I'm just like, what did I say that was so funny? But anyways,
shout out to Neil for recovering the tweet.
That's right, there, man, Neil, good guy. Good friend. He's popping right now. Seriously, Andrew. Like he's gonna be sending me a DM. Ooh, lovely conversation about me. I'm so happy. You know,
we had Neil on the podcast a couple months ago. I think we had him on the Eddie Guerrero podcast.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude. But like right now, if we say any more, Andrew, his head's gonna explode because all the blood's rushing there because he's so happy right now. But thank you, Neil. Thank you for
WH. I'm looking forward to this, man. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. I'm already happy that we're doing it. We're not even 10 minutes into this, and already we're having fun. But this is post Perez, and I gotta say, it's not often that you get to talk about Japanese wrestling. So yeah. I'm excited to hear your opinions on the scene in 2021 as interesting. Or sometimes not so interesting as it may be, but yeah, we're gonna run through a bunch of topics. You did a lot of research for this, so for folks out there, we're gonna let Andrew kind of like lead the topics, and then I'm gonna jump in with my 2 cents, and we're just gonna kind of play it by ear. It's kind of be like audio jazz, podcasting jazz here, and yeah, so like that. I think that's the best way to do it. Like I did my research, but like listen, I am but a pauper compared to the prince that is Andrew Thompson as far as the research goes.
Listen, I appreciate you let me lead the way, man. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's go. What's number one topic we're going to talk about today?
Get into some of course, Minoru Suzuki has made many of headlines over the past week. He has been announced for a number of dates, even outside of New Japan. Of course, they've announced him for like their next, believe 2 or 3 sets of tapings. One of them being in Garland, Texas. But Minoru Suzuki, he has been announced for shows that and he will be matches. He'll be in the matches with Daniel Garcia. He has a match against Jonathan Gresham at GCW House in the Room on September 17th. He has a match against Anthony Henry in October, which I'm actually excited about. It's going to be at PWX Wrestling in North Carolina. And he's been announced for, several other matches as well against Calvin Tankman and others alike. So Minoru Suzuki, it looks like he's going on a tour of the U.S., man. And I saw him tweet earlier. He was just like, I can't wait to get back. I can't wait to get to the U.S. And I'm excited to see who else they put him up there with. I know a lot of people were, when they saw GCW announce him for the Gresham match, a lot of people were thinking about they would probably get to finally see the match between Suzuki and Orange Cassidy. I think it got postponed or canceled because of the pandemic. So yeah, man. So Suzuki is he's coming to the U.S. and he's got a lot of great opponents waiting for him.
So let's go over these dates. So I have them in front of me right now, Andrew. So September 17th at the Ukrainian Culture Center in Los Angeles, California. It's at GCW's Highest in the Room show. It's going to be Minoru Suzuki versus Jonathan Gresham. And that sounds amazing. I don't know if it'd get me to a GCW show, but I am tempted. I'll say that. Also for GCW's at their Get Lost a Lot show on September 24th in the Melrose Ballroom in New York City. It's going to be against Homicide, which I got to imagine Homicide is like over the moon because everyone knows what a big fan of Japanese wrestling Homicide is. So that should be interesting. I haven't seen recent Homicide in ROH, so I don't know how he's looking as far as his in-ring goes, but I'm sure he's just going to take it whatever level he's working at now, he's just going to take it to another level because he's in there with the legend that is Minoru Suzuki. Following that, on October 1st, at the Afton Elks Lodge in St. Louis, Missouri, it's going to be Minoru Suzuki versus Calvin Tankman at Wrestle Max, St. Louis's episode 6 show. And my good friend, I think Joey Bay, is going to be going to that. On October 2nd, the day after, in the Cabarrus Arena and Events Center in North Carolina, the Anthony Henry match for PWX Wrestling's All Hail the King show. Are they all hailing Minoru Suzuki? Is that who the king is?
I think they named the show after him, after his main event match. Yeah.
That's put some respect on the king there. That's definitely sure. The day after that, back to St. Louis, Missouri, October 3rd at the South Broadway Athletic Club against Davey Richards, Glory Pro Wrestling's Little Ring of Horror show. And listen, I don't know about you, Andrew. I am fucking ecstatic that Davey Richards is back in professional wrestling, because you know what was missing in professional wrestling in the last couple of years? Dumb jock wrestling. And the purveyor the king of dumb jock wrestling is David Richards.
David Richards, I really like when I see him putting over like every person that he faces, every like every new face on the independent scene, or should I say newer face. He'll like after their matches, he'll go on Twitter and like say something really nice about him. And he's like been doing that for like the past couple of months. So it's been cool to see him sort of integrate himself in the current scene, man. And shout out the up and comers that he's been sharing the ring with.
And as far as the last name that I have on my list, it's going to be one of my favorite wrestlers of the last year. It's Daniel Garcia for West Coast Pro Wrestling's No Leaf Clover Show, celebrating that company's 3rd anniversary on October 8th in San Francisco. I don't have the name of the venue. I don't know if you have it.
The name of the venue for the West Coast Pro Show. Let me check. But yeah, that Daniel Garcia, man, he honestly, he could probably put together like a short book of his 2021. Like he had a big come up this year, man. Especially, I know he's gonna be wrestling Darby Allin on next week's Rampage show. I don't know if he's signed per se, but I believe Tony Khan said that he has an agreement with AEW. So you can take that for what it is. So yeah, man, that Daniel Garcia is having a really great year, and it's been kind of cool to see him sort of have this like uprise. Like out of nowhere. I know he was he had that. Did you get a chance to see that 60-minute Iron Man match he had with Wheeler Yuta?
I did. I love that. It's like Wheeler Yuta's the other name on the independents that's like making a big name for himself working for AEW and New Japan Strong. Mm-hmm. And I just think like if maybe like Tony Khan's got a verbal agreement with Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia, like, hey guys, just go work the independents. Mm-hmm. When we need you for television, right? Just come. And just do that. That should be like AEW's like, developmental, like let people work the independents, but be ready to come to do television for AEW, and then like get the audience familiar with them, and then pull the trigger on them and say like they're now signed to us, and now we're gonna push the shit out of them because like listen. At some point, like you're gonna have to sign these like up and comers on the independents now. Now that WWE's back into like muscle heads and bikini models, like for the developmental, not independent talent. Like, hey, you know what? Like, go out, look for your Daniel Garcias, your Kevin Blackwoods, your Wheeler Yutas, your Lee Moriartys, and people like that, and get them. And like the up and coming women talent out there as well, like get them on board, let them work the independents, but like have some kind of agreement where it's like, hey, when we're ready to put you on like national television, come be ready to jump on board and join us on that level in the company.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think AEW has a solid system over there. But the match that Daniel Garcia is going to have with Suzuki, it's going to be called. It's at the State Room in South San Francisco, California.
Yeah, I mean, like it sounds like West Coast Pro Wrestling is trying to get the Northern California scene on the map as much as PWG got the Southern California wrestling scene on the map. Like I hear a lot of good things about this promotion. I don't think I've ever seen any of their shows yet, but like getting a lot of buzz. And this Suzuki versus Garcia match is just adding to that buzz. But I do want to quickly talk about, he has 2 matches scheduled for New Japan Strong itself, television tapings from September 25th and 26th in the Curtis Culwell Center in Fort Worth, Texas. And also, I may even get this wrong, but also he's going to be on tapings for October 16th and 17th in the old ECW Arena in Philadelphia. But so far, he's listed on September 25th to take on Fred Rosser, which should be a very interesting match. And then on September 26th, he's going to be in a tag team match, reteaming with Lance Archer to take on Royce Isaacs and Filthy Tom Lawler, which I'm very, very excited to see the interactions between Tom Lawler and Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, Tom Lawler, he's done really well so far as the strong openweight champion. And that match with Fred Ross, I am looking forward to that because I remember Fred saying, I think he said in quite a few interviews that he's always wanted to wrestle Suzuki and like do a really physical style match. And I don't know if a lot of people have seen how Fred has changed his game since signing with New Japan, since joining New Japan, I should say. But he's like really improved, man, like a lot. Like he's very, very talented in the ring. And I think a lot of people are going to be impressed when he steps in the ring with Suzuki.
He was always like, as I recall, like as Darren Young, like he was always like, he was a WWE guy, right? Like
comedy type character. Yeah,
he wrestled that style though, which let's be honest, is not necessarily, if you come up trained in that system, it's not necessarily something you're going to be like thinking, oh, they're hard hitting or anything like that. So like for him to like, when he leaves the company and then he goes on the independents and then he's like, okay, I'm hitching my wagon to New Japan Strong. Okay, well, I'm sure he's doing this with eyes wide open, thinking, I got to change my style. I got to match what people expect from someone who works regularly from New Japan. So like he's really made an effort to like, and I agree with you. I haven't seen too many of his matches, but what I have seen, I'm very impressed. I'm like, wow, he's worked really hard to like change his image from his WWE days, but also like change his style. And I think both the change in aesthetics and the change in style has worked really, really well for him.
Yes, I'll say with Suzuki being and having these US dates announced, pretty much a surefire. He most likely won't be in the G1 because that starts on the September 18th and that's going through the 21st October.
He's probably like looking at who they've already announced for the G1. Like, I don't want to be in that fucking thing. Oh, who's announced for the G1 so far? Like, I think one person's announced for the G1.
Yeah,
Human.
I haven't really seen any like that many names announced so far. I think
you know who's announced for it, Andrew? Like the human form of melted marshmallow, fucking Chase Owens.
The human form of melted marshmallow.
Like if you took a melted marshmallow and made it human, it would look like Chase Owens. Let's be honest.
Jesus.
Okay, and probably he wrestles like he's fucking melted marshmallow too. Like, you know what I mean? So like when that got announced, I was like, hey, look, the G1 is must miss this year.
Must. Well, I'm trying to think of like the current talents at New Japan who could possibly win the G1. Like, of course, I really wish this pandemic wasn't going on because I can only imagine the talents they could possibly bring, especially because New Japan is they have some sort of a working relation. Well, not some sort of, but an obvious working relationship with AEW and Impact. So I'm pretty sure if things allowed, they would probably be flying talents back and forth ASAP. But when I'm looking at the current group of guys, like I really can't like narrow it down. Like I'm pretty sure. I mean, they could go a back-to-back winner, I guess. So they could always go rely on Okada again. But I'm trying. I mean,
the prevailing thought would be that the whoever wins the G1 is going to challenge at the Dome, right?
Yeah.
On January 4th of 2022. So like you have like, and they're thinking also the prevailing thought is they're going to do double Dome shows again, and they're going to have like the challenger on the first night, and then whoever wins that faces another challenger on the second night. So it would be I think the idea is like Okada.
It's got to be Naito, right?
Okada is
yeah.
It's like something like night, like I think my feeling would be like do Naito versus Shingo Takagi for the first night, have Naito win the belt, and then like Okada. Like let's be honest, like Okada is the golden boy of New Japan,
for sure.
And the golden boy of Booker, Ghetto's like right? So like at some point, Okada's got to get a win over Naito to get the belt back. You know what I mean? That's what I think would happen. Like that's how I would imagine the booking is. But who knows? Like how COVID has affected, the current pandemic has affected like New Japan booking long term, because it's really fucked up that company like in the here now. Like it's become very unwatchable for me. Like I very much pick and choose. I never watch anything live. I'm just like, you know what? I'll wait till it's up on World. I'll see what what's getting trending on social media, and then I'm gonna watch that. I'll watch this and skip everything else.
I saw a lot of people were not too pleased about Evil being in the main event. A lot of people were not happy about that at all, especially the pairing with Dick Togo. It seems like they've gone back as far as the that thing is like really everything is kind of everybody getting matches getting interfered in a lot, and like going back to that what it was what Bullet Club was doing, all those years back. Well, not all those years back, 5 or 6 years back. And like I'm not really a big fan of this incarnation of Evil. I never thought Evil was like the big work rate guy. I think he was always really good. And then when he was paired with Sonata or paired with any other of the members of LIJ, but him on his own, it's like like I'm not really feeling it too much.
I think the problem with Evil is that he's lazy. Like he relies on his tropes, his like heel tropes. Like there's a couple of matches that does have has had in like maybe 3 years ago, the Okada win in Osaka in the G1 where he beat him. That I was there live. That was amazing. And I thought, okay, this guy's gonna be ready. Like, but he's got to get rid of all the chair stuff, the stupid like catching someone's leg and like
throw it to the referee.
Yeah, fuck that stuff. Like tropes. But it's lazy. Like, right? It's lazy work rate. That's what it is. And like he's just really comfortable. Like I could be even lazier and have Dick Togo do all this bullshit, and I'm still gonna get pushed to the top of the card. Like, why? Like to him, he's being rewarded for not having to work hard. And so he's like thinking, I don't have to kill myself. I don't have to be Shibata. I don't have to be Naito and still get over and be like a champion. Like, you know what I mean? There's
I remember
repercussions for him.
I remember Evil. He had like a really good match. I think it was with Ishii. It was before the pandemic started. I think it was at that Sapporo show. I think it was a New Beginning. He had like a really, really good match with Ishii. Like it was like real physical. And Ishii's one of those guys, man. Like I feel like he won't ever get his like sort of, I guess, flowers in New Japan per se. Like I feel like he's been so consistent for them over the years, man, and had so many great matches. Like, well, probably my favorite Ishii match of all time is the one he had with Omega at the G1 special in 2017. And I remember I was watching that live. That was legitimately one of my favorite matches because he beat the shit out of Omega for half of that match, man. And it was just real entertaining. So yeah, with Evil, like I do kind of get your point about him, I guess, appearing to be lazy. Like, of course, I don't know, I really can't call it like as if I know him to call him lazy, but more so of like I can kind of see what you getting at as far as referring to him as that.
It's like Randy Orton and his fucking headlocks, right? So that's lazy, right? Oh no, he's being subtle. No, he's fucking lazy now. Like he doesn't. And hey, like again, like Randy, Evil, they're at the top. They're not going to get de-pushed. So they're like, hey, I can do it like this. Hey, I get it. If you're a wrestler, you're like, I don't have to kill myself anymore. I think I get pushed. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't have to like it as a fan, but I understand it as a human being. I do, honestly. But before we move on from New Japan, let's just quickly talk about a couple more things. And one is that the other person coming to the United States, Andrew, is Satoshi Kojima.
Yeah.
He's going to face Jon Moxley at AEW's All Out pay-per-view on September 5th in the Now Arena. And there's been some back and forth, not with Kojima and Moxley per se, but with Kojima and Jay White, where Kojima has now added the word bitch to his lexicon. So like he's perfect for American television now.
I saw somebody make a joke like that. They was like, they just added the American television pro wrestling the main word to his vocabulary. So yeah, Kojima, like I know a lot of people, well, just from what I took on social media, they were sort of disappointed because I think people assumed that the match everybody was going to get with Moxley at All Out was probably going to be against Tanahashi. And I think they're probably going to save that. And I know it got reported in the Observer that Kojima was always the plan for All Out. And, there will be other challengers from New Japan coming, but Kojima was always first on that list. And I probably think they're probably going to save Tanahashi for somewhere else down the line. I know he got the title defense against Ibushi at the MetLife Dome show. So I can definitely see probably Tanahashi versus Mox at the Full Gear in St. Louis. I can see that probably happening, on them holding off until sometime in maybe early next year or something along those lines. I
mean, with people who don't know who Kojima is, like he's older now, but man, he can still go. He's one of those New Japan, like third generation guys like Nagata and Tenzan. Like even more than Nagata, I think he could still go. And like he's always been an awesome wrestler. So I think people who aren't so familiar with Kojima, when they see him against Moxley, because I think Moxley will definitely, wrestle to Kojima's strengths. So it's gonna be a great match because he's a very hard hitting wrestler when he's in there with the right opponent. And I think Moxley is probably the right opponent for him. But I want to talk about one more quick thing, and that's New Japan debuted two new young lions, Kosei Fujita and Ryohei Oiwa. And they debuted on the August 24th Korakuen Hall show for the aptly named Summer Struggle. It's been a struggle to keep up with the company this summer, Andrew, because it's kind of boring. But I watched this match and they looked impressive. Like, just you could tell I think they both have like strong amateur backgrounds, but like they look so comfortable in that ring. They look like they just have a lot of fire and they're ready to like just continue from this point on. Do 2 years of the opening match, grow some hair, get a knee pad,
grow some hair.
Like, oh, Mike, you know how you can tell the progression of a young lion in New Japan, Andrew?
How?
When like, oh my God, he's got one knee pad. Oh, he's on the next level. Oh, he's got wrist tape. When they get 2 knee pads, like excursions just like around the corner.
Yeah, I saw. We were just talking about that West Coast Pro promotion. They just announced, I think, You a Year More for one of their shows, and like it's always cool seeing the young lions, man, because they go out there and they just do like the basic stuff. Of course, basically they go out there and rough each other up a little bit, stick to the ground game. So yeah, it's always cool to see the new young lions come in. Like Kawato used to be one of my favorites before he started doing that Master Wato shit. Like I'm not a fan at all. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not a fan of that in the slightest. But he was legitimately my favorite young lion because I think he did some really good work, especially on those Fantastic Mania shows. Like I think he did really, really well. Like, and of course, those provided an opportunity for some of those young lions to kind of stand out and so sort of mix it up with the people who were established that were coming over from CMLL. And what was that? I can't remember. It was one other guy that I really used to like. He was a big buff dude. I think
Kitamura.
Yeah, he retired, right?
He left wrestling, yes, because
okay.
Who knows why? There's a lot of rumors out there. I'm not going to repeat them.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, he was interesting one as well. But yeah,
I mean, he was like jacked to the gills. I mean. Like there's that rumor, like, oh, how do you get that physique? Well, But anyways,
I was about to mention real quick. Hiromu's back. So
Hiromu's back. I saw some gifs.
Division.
He had some insane match with Doki. Like Doki's like he's someone made a point on Twitter. Like Doki is now Hiromu from like 4 years ago. He's just doing all these insane bumps because like Doki's like, hey, this might be like I don't know what kind of deal he has with New Japan, but like good for that guy, good for that guy. He was like a sleazy indie wrestler working in Mexico because he moved to Mexico from Japan and he got called up because like his relationship with I think with Jado or somebody like who knew him in Mexico, like, hey, come on in and like just be a job dude for us and fill in for us. And then he just got put in with Suzuki Gun and look where he is now. He's like having like Hiromu's return match. He's getting he's probably doing really well with the merchandise and stuff. So hey, kudos to Doki. When he first came out, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Oh my God, he looks like shit. And then like slowly I was like, hey, you know what? He's not bad. And my God, there are far worse people on the roster who look like worse shit than he does. Chase Owens. But like he's really acquitted himself, and I've gotten used to his gear and his look. It works for him for what kind of character he's presenting.
Did you see that gif of him when he did the top rope drop kick to the outside and his elbow clipped the guardrail? I was like, dude, what like I don't know if people have seen that, man, but like please go check it out. It was the match he had with Hiromu. Hiromu was a turn match. Doki, Hiromu was facing it looked like he was exiting the gate, and Doki did a dive off the top rope, drop kick, landed back first.
Oh God!
And then while he was on the way down, his elbow clipped the guardrail. I'm talking about like it bounced, and then he went down, and then his elbow followed. It was like the nastiest thing. And then this dude jumped right back up like it wasn't. It was probably the adrenaline that I was going through him, but I know that had to hurt.
Well, I'm sure we'll get an update that'll be posted either by yourself or John Pollock on Post Wrestling and tweet it out on the Post Wrestling Twitter account, I'm sure. So we'll keep an eye out for the update on Doki's like elbow situation. But hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he didn't injure himself too badly. But that was a nasty bump. But anything else you want to talk about with New Japan here, Andrew?
We get into the next thing, my man.
Let's move on to All Japan for wrestling, and they're having they're in the midst of their Royal Road tournament. It's going to be wrapping up though on August 29th, which is tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah,
that's tomorrow, like in Cork and Hall, and the final. So, like, if you don't want to hear the spoilers of who's in the finals, you're still making your way through it. Just skip ahead like about 3-4 minutes from here. But the Royal Road final is going to be 2 matches, the semifinals, and then they're going to lead into the finals. And it's going to be Jake Lee having another match with my personal favorite in this tournament. Like from what I've been able to catch, Andrew, that's Shotaro Ashino. He had an awesome match on day 1 with Yuma Aoyagi, and then he had another great match the next day on the next day of the tour with Zeus. Both are awesome matches, and he's debuted like this new finisher, the T-bone suplex, and he does it better than Taz. Just gonna put that out there. He does it better than Taz. Maybe in the future we're gonna see Shotaro Ashino take on Hook in All Japan.
Everybody loves Hook, man. Everybody loves Hook. What is up with everybody's love of Hook? What is this?
It's because they're like, that's Taz's son. Bullshit. There's no Taz genes in this man. Look how good looking he is. Look how tall he is. He must get everything from his mom.
That's the same thing everybody says about Rey Mysterio and his son. I've never gotten how his son is like towering over this man. But
listen, let's be honest here. That's Walter's son.
But like going back to the Royal Road tournament, like it's probably going to be it's probably going to end up being Jake Lee defending the Triple Crown against Suwama. That's probably the most likely route, because I think Suwama had caught COVID and he had to vacate the title. So like that's probably going to be like it seems like the most obvious route to go is to actually do the match this time, because Jake Lee was going to challenge Suwama anyway, because he won the
he won the Champion Carnival. Yeah,
he won the Champion Carnival tournament. So yeah, I mean, you would think that would be like the most obvious route that they would end up going.
Yeah, so just so I didn't get to mention it, but yeah, the other semifinal will be Kento Miyahara taking on Suwama, and I think it's a lock that Suwama is going to beat Kento. He's gonna face, maybe, like, I think it makes more sense for Ashino to beat Jake Lee in the semifinal, and then face Suwama in the finals, and then Suwama beats him, and then he faces Jake Lee. I don't want to see like him face Jake Lee twice.
Right.
You know, if he's getting, because like you're saying, like, and it makes sense, like the most logical thing would be for Suwama to finally have the title match that got canceled, like because he's he can make the claim, like, right, you never beat me for that belt.
Right. I
had it vacated because of COVID. So like have that match and have like Lee, because like the obvious conclusion is that Lee was going to beat Suwama and be crowned the Triple Crown champion that way, instead of like the very strange 3-way kind of gauntlet match that they ended up booking for his title win. And I think, like, have Suwama have what I think was probably going to be an epic match, because like when Suwama is called to have an epic match, he can have an epic match. I think he's one of the most underrated like wrestlers of his age. And like in his position, at being like, an ace of a company still, that he doesn't get looked at the same way as like, Tanahashi does, because like All Japan has a lower profile, obviously, but like he, when needed to, like, he can go. And I think you do that match, like you save it for the title match, not for the Royal Road tournament. And you just get Lee that rub and just solidify his standing as the current Triple Crown champion. I think you got to keep the belt on him. And then if you have Ashino beat Lee, then you have another challenger, set up, not necessarily right afterwards, when he beats Suwama, down the line, because I do think at some point, like, like All Japan seems like they're finally on board with like Ashino. Like there's a lot of start and stop with the guy, and which I think has been bad for him, but you can rehab him very easily, because he has that, like, I don't know how familiar you are with Shotaro Ashino, but he has this intricate, like, like very hard to pin down, like, charisma, like, where I think if you just push him, like just have him win, like people will be like, yeah, we want to see him have the Triple Crown.
That's simple pro wrestling right there. You can look at that from any perspective. Like if you push a talent, you can make people care. Like you can make anybody a star, mostly anybody a star in pro wrestling, if you just put the right steam behind them and just give them consistent wins on consistent wins. Like I think a lot of promotions like really overthink shit and make it harder than what it needs to be. But like if you just simply push a talent and make them feel important, then the people who watch will believe that talent is important.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple, right? It's like, if I was involved in pro wrestling, if I was like a booker, my philosophy would be like, you know what, I'm gonna book pro wrestling. I'm just gonna keep it simple, right? Like I'm not here to make movies, pal. You know.
I was gonna ask you, did you like the Jake Lee Miyahara match from the Champion Carnival? Because I remember you told me to check that out, and I remember I watched it a couple months back, and I really enjoyed that match. I kind of take like a note of some of my favorite matches that I watched this year, some of the matches that I've enjoyed personally, and that was one of them.
I think with like anytime like Jake and Kento get in the ring together, because they have such a storied history with each other, being teammates at first, being in the same faction, and then splitting apart. And like Jake's always been chasing him. It's very similar. Like when you have like the Next Stream guys, so the original 4 members of Next Stream were Kento Miyahara, Jake Lee, Yuma Aoyagi, and Noya Nomura. And like like you can draw a parallel with them and like the Super Generation Army from the 90s, which was Misawa, Kawada, Kobashi, and Taue. And like like people say, oh, you're like, I'm just saying contextually. Like that's what All Japan wants to push them as. That's like there's a parallel way of booking them that they wanted to do. Like when these 4 guys came up in the company, right? So like Miyahara occupies the Masao role of being the ace, and for a long time, like Jake is the Toshiaki Kawada, equivalency, in 2021 of like how he was booked against Miyahara. Like he never got the win over Miyahara. He never got the significant win over Miyahara until like now. He beat him in the Champion Carnival, and now he's a Triple Crown champion. And part of that was like beating Kento Miyahara. So
I'm about to say that then Miyahara, he beat him in the finals in like 2 years ago or something, right?
Yeah, I think I was at that show as well at Corkin Hall. But this is like the time, like you have to keep the belt on Jake. You have to have him have like at least, I'd say give him 3-4 defenses, strong matches, like put him in there with Zeus, put him in there with, I say keep Ashino, make Ashino the guy that beats him, have him fight Kento again, like solidify it by beating him again. And then you're not, there's no shortage of like guys you could have interesting, good, epic matches with Jake Lee to get himself and that title elevated more. And I think, you're seeing like pretty decent attendances when I watch All Japan. Like, yeah, they're in smaller venues, but like there's no like god awful like empty spaces like you see at All Japan shows. You know what I mean? Like I have New Japan shows. Like their fan base is like, okay, like if I'm gonna, risk going out to see a wrestling show, I'm gonna see this because they're not, out there, like just like spamming like cards all over Tokyo or anything like that. Like they're very, like, hey, let's just have a show twice a month in Tokyo. We'll go to other places, come back to Tokyo, like, and it's working for them. It's like, that's a strategy. A lot of the smaller companies and like, Mark Pickering, who's like one of the English commentators put on Twitter.
For Noah, right?
Yeah. He put on Twitter, like the recent New Japan against like all these Joshi promotions. And the Joshi promotions, which have a smaller fan base and has less exposure than New Japan, are beating them at Korakuen Hall.
I saw that. Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
On it. Yeah,
it's embarrassing for them, for New Japan. I don't think it's embarrassing for the Joshi promotions because like they're being smart, right? And kudos to them for like trying to be smart and be safe and not trying to milk their fans for all like for what little budget that they have for wrestling. Like that's a problem with New Japan. Is like, hey, let's try to milk our fans for all their money. Listen, you think they got $50 fucking like for 7 fucking cards in a row? Are you fucking insane? No, they don't. It's still plus we're gonna have a fucking show at the Tokyo Dome. Fuck off.
And they got the MetLife Dome show coming up too. But like you want to know one of the guys that I've seen very little of his match and actually found out about him through an interview that he did that I covered for Post was Akira Francesco. Who works for All Japan. I think he was like the cruiserweight champion or the junior
heavyweight champion.
Junior heavyweight champion. He's really good. He's really good, man. I've seen like probably 2 or 3 of his matches, and from the stuff I've seen, like I think he's like a real treat to watch. I don't know if you had the opportunity to like really dive into his stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of him. He's someone who bet on himself. He got scouted by Tajiri and he was brought over to Japan. And when the pandemic hit, he had a choice to stay or go back to Italy.
Yeah.
And he chose to stay because he was like, there's not going to be any rest. Like Italy was completely shut down, right? During the early days of the pandemic. And so he's like, well, I'm still going to be able to work and wrestle here and have a bit of a life in Japan that I probably wouldn't have during, the full on lockdown in Italy. So I think it paid off.
Young too.
He's young.
Yeah.
He's going to do a tour of Europe, and every promotion in the UK.
Oh, for sure.
On the continent, she's trying to book this guy. Like WXW should be trying to book this guy for their shows. Like, every UK promotion, like Britt Rez is coming back. Don't tell Benno, but it's coming back, and like, yeah, they should try to get this guy for some of their shows because he's a fresh face. He's seasoned now. Like he's a lot more seasoned than
than he was prior.
90% of people who wrestle in the UK now, right? So get him over. Like, have you seen the All Japan Dojo documentary that he hosted?
I think I heard him talk about that during that interview that I mentioned. Like that's how I know about it. But he kind of spoke about it like sort of in depth, and I kind of got some insight on it, but I haven't seen the complete thing.
All right, I'm gonna send it to you, Andrew. You're gonna love it. It's mainly done in English because he's narrating it, right? And he talks about he shows you what life in the All Japan Dojo is like, and
that's cool.
Training, how they train there, and it's very, very interesting. It'll make you a fan of him, and I hope it'll make you a fan of wow, the training techniques that they use in All Japan, and what life is like for someone who's training to be a wrestler for a company like All Japan or Noah or New Japan.
Yeah, I think him being as young as he is really benefits him, especially you mentioned he had the choice to either go back to Italy or stay in Japan and continue to work. And I think that's a real benefit to him. I know like somebody like Mikey Nichols, he wasn't as fortunate to be able to make that decision. He got a family in Australia, young child and stuff like that. And so he had to, obviously go back and head out, and he hasn't been back in New Japan and I don't know how long. But I know he's still under contract in him and stuff. So yeah, I think it just works out for Akira. I think he's gonna I think you give him 4 or 5 years, man. I think he's going to be really on top of his game. He's not even nowhere near the prime of his career yet, and he's already so good at such a young age, man. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does going forward.
Definitely. Not only I'm hoping he'll stay with All Japan as long as possible. He seems to have he's enjoying being part of the company, and I think they like him, and they think, wow, he's really benefit to our roster, and the fans love him. So yeah, hopefully we'll see. But like he say, he's young, so as he gets older, he's like, hey, I need to make more money. Maybe it's more money in the United States. So maybe we'll see him venture over to the to North American shows. We'll see.
I saw and I was gonna mention, I saw the T-Hawk was back in the Royal Road tournament. I know he had a broken rib last month. So something like that. So it was good to see him back. I saw him in the, some of the results online. So yeah, I was like, T-Hawk finally came back, man. He came back. I think he was working with a broken rib for a period of time, but then he came back. So he took some time off and then obviously came back. So it was cool to see his name pop up in some of the results.
Yeah, he had a match with Kento Miyahara, which I thought was really fun to watch, and he's full on doing stuff for GLEAT. Not great. Yeah, it's spelled GLEAT. I know W, but it's L's and R's and mixed, and it's I know I fucking lived there for 10 years. Yeah, I know. But listen, they're gonna spell it with an L. I'm pronouncing it with an L. That's just how it is. But he's doing stuff with GLEAT, and here circle back to New Japan. New Japan has done some stuff with GLEAT, and I can see if they want some names. Okay, hey, how about you send us some of your guys to the G? Okay, send us T-Hawk. Send
That'd
us,
be cool.
Whoever, some of the other kind of names that you got. It wouldn't hurt. You know what I mean, Andrew?
They need to freshen that lineup up, man. They need to freshen it up.
It would be a win-win for New Japan to have some people from another company come in to work the G1 and freshen it, like you say, it'll freshen it up. But and it might bring some fans from those other companies to your shows. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
To get some actual new fans to come to watch some New Japan Pro Wrestling that they maybe wouldn't do otherwise. But, anyways, let's move on from one more thing before T-Hawk is back, but also Kohei Sato, who's a great journeyman wrestler from 0-1. He's left 0-1, but he's going all over the place. I like when Kohei Sato has appeared in All Japan. I hope he's like one of those freelancers who just makes All Japan his home base and like works for other companies. But hey, they need me for a big show. They need me for a couple of shows on a tour. I'm gonna be working for All Japan because I think he'd lend a lot of like veteran salt. Like he's a very salty wrestler, likes to hit people really hard. And I think some of these young guys on the All Japan roster need to get hit hard. Really hard, so.
I said you mentioned before we move on to the next topic, you had mentioned 0-1. Have you heard about this legacy show that's taking place on the 13th, September 13th and the 14th? It's gonna be New Japan, All Japan, Noah, Dragon Gate, Michinoku Pro, Big Japan, 0-1 and 2AW. It's gonna be at Korakuen Hall, and they're gonna be celebrating the 70th anniversary of Japanese wrestling.
Oh, that's cool. Like when they do joint shows, like it really depends like what kind of interpromotional matches that they're able to book. Usually if it's like
you want to know what's funny? In the press release that they had put out about it, it was something along the lines of, and I should really pull this up. I'm kind of going verbatim right now, but I remember it was something along the lines of there were going to be maybe there weren't going to be many interpromotional matches because I guess it's, with so many promotions, you would assume it's like it can be very conflicting as far as like who goes over and stuff like that. So I think they're more so going to keep it of like, Noah guy versus Noah guy, New Japan guy versus New Japan guy. Cause you would just normally think it would be, conflicting to have this guy versus this guy, top guy versus top guy, or middle card guy versus middle card guy from different promotions. And then you got to decide who goes over and whatnot.
Usually it's like top guy, mid-card guy, right. Team up against top guy, mid-card guy, and top guy from one company A beats mid-card guy from company B. Tag match. That's usually how it goes. But you also have to think about like COVID, right? It's like I don't think they want to, like it's bad enough you're getting COVID and like a lot of these companies within the, these guys just wrestling each other. And then, like if there's a transmission between interpromotional transmission, that's just a even bigger mess, I think. So probably, because I think more because of COVID rather than because of like, interpromotional politics that you're going to see. You're probably right. There's going to be little to no interpromotional stuff happening at this show. Yeah.
I think Fujinami's helping putting the show together, Inoki, a couple other people. And they noted that freelancers are going to be a part of the show as well. So, you could probably count on some of them probably taking some pins as well because they're not under contract. So, I think it's going to be an interesting show, especially if they can, if they probably end up streaming it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be on Samurai TV, and then it'll be put up somewhere, and then I'll acquire it somehow, and maybe get shared around. I better not say anymore. Anyways, keep an eye out for your email box here, Andrew.
I will.
But let's move on to probably my favorite company in Japan right now, Andrew, and that's Stardom.
Hey.
And they're in the midst of their 5-star Grand Prix, and they just had a show today, I believe. And we're not going to necessarily go into the nitty-gritty of like who pinned who, whatever like that. I really kind of just want to talk about the current standings, and let's look at the Red Stars block. At the top is Starlight Kid, the newly turned heel, dark Starlight Kid. I love this new character. I think he just comes through in her work, in her promos, and her matches, like how much she loves not being the goody two shoes anymore, and like just kind of like this kind of more mature version of herself, because like she started when she was a teenager, and like she just turned an adult, like legal, like I think 20 recently. And so like it must be like, yes, I can shed that image and just be something different from what I was for the last 5 years, 6 years. Like she's been a pro, like from a teenager, and so like it's really good. Following behind her is her new arch rival, Maiu Iwatani, her former mentor, her former best friend, at 6 points. So Starlight Kid has 7 points.
Maiu is great. Like I remember I saw a couple of her matches when she did that. She had a run at Ring of Honor for a little bit. And I actually got to see her in person out in Virginia one time. She was doing a show with ROH, and it was like a six person tag or something like that. Maiu, she is like very, very good. I remember it was one match she had with Kelly Klein. I think it was for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. That was actually really good, and I think people should go check that out if you haven't seen if you can get if you can access it. But yeah, Maiu, she's probably one of my favorite talents in Stardom.
I mean, if you think about her career, like she tutelaged under Io Shirai and Kairi Hojo, of in WWE, Kairi Sane, like those were her mentors. As she was growing as a wrestler in Stardom, and then like they handpicked her. They said, when Io's gone, you're it. You're going to be the ace of the company, and that's the spot that she's occupied in Stardom since Io Shirai left. And like I think she's a quitter herself. Like she is, like what's the parallel like in other companies would be? She's the Hiroshi Tana. She's the Kazuchika Okada. I'll say that she's the Kazuchika Okada of Stardom. Okay, like what Okada is to New Japan, she is to Stardom. Where it doesn't matter that she's a champion or not. That if you beat her, if you pin her in a match, that's an accomplishment in of itself. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
And then following, so let's with Red Stars next after Maiu is Natsukoi, the current high speed champion. Following Natsukoi is her Donna Del Mundo teammate, the leader of the faction, Julia, and then who's got 4 points, and then tied with her is Mina Shirakawa from Cosmic Angels, and then it's like a 3-way tie with 2 points, Koguma, Momo Watanabe, Saki Kashima, and at the bottom with 0 points is Fukigen Death, and that's fine. She's just there to eat pins. And Himeka, who I'm hoping is before the tournament is done, Himeka's going to get, at least 2 or 4 points. Like I really think she's going to need that. But Andrew, let's move to Blue Stars. Leading Blue Stars is Maika from Donna Del Mundo at 7 points. Following her is the current Wonder of Stardom champion and the one third of the the Artist of Stardom Trios champions, and that's Tam Nakano. At 5 points, Unagi Sayaka at 5 points. At 4, probably my favorite wrestler is Stardom, and probably in my top 3 wrestlers in the world right now.
The young goat.
No, Shuri. It's Shuri.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Utami Hayashishita. That's what I thought you was about to say.
I'm a big fan of Utami, but like Shuri just is like my kind of wrestler. Beats the shit out of people, kicks them really hard, and like twists them in knots when she's putting submission holds on them. I love Shuri. Who's also a big fan apparently of Shuri is Tom Lawler.
For real?
Yeah. Like he's tweeting. They were tweeting back and forth. Like I never want to face Shuri, and he like added her. And then she was like responding to him. He's like, no, I don't want to face you. Literally, seriously, I don't want to face you. Like you're like I think he has a lot of respect for her because she was also like a legit MMA artist. Like she was in the UFC as well, that's right? Cool. So following Shuri is the current World of Stardom champion, the wonderkind of Stardom of Joshi Pro Wrestling, and that's Utami Hayashishita at 4 points. Also at 4 points is Saya Kamitani. I'm a big fan of Saya Kamitani. She's also in Queen's Quest with Utami. They're actually tag team partners. She is like someone I'm going to say, remember that name, Andrew, Saya Kamitani. In 2 years' time, she's going to be like someone people talk about. Like, my God, she's an awesome wrestler. She's only been wrestling 2 years. And she's this good already. It's like Utami has like a year on her in the experience level, and she's like where she is. There's something in the water in the Stardom dojo. Like it's producing this many amazing talents. Underneath Konami at also 4 points is Konami. And at 2 points is Azumi. And then at 0 points, Ruaka, who's like kind of like the bottom part of like Uedo Tai, and Takumi Iroha from Marvelous, but that's because she hasn't had a match yet, Andrew. But like when she has a match, like listen, I'm so excited because we still have Takumi Iroha to look forward to. Matches with Konami, with Saya Kamitani, with Utami, with Shuri. Oh my God. Like with Tam Nakano, shit, I'm so excited. Like when Iroha, like I don't know how familiar you are with Takumi Iroha, but my God, when she comes in, seek out those matches, especially with like the top end of the Blue Stars, block.
Okay, well, I definitely will do, man. You get me excited about it just hear you talking about it, so I can't wait to get back into Stardom, man. I try to keep up on a semi-consistent basis. Like I try to check in whenever I hear like a buzz about a certain match, but I've caught like at least 2, I want to say, of the 5-Star Grand Prix shows. So I got to try to catch back up on the rest when they pick back up.
Definitely. I mean, I'm not I've been very lax in trying to keep up with it. So I'm like you. I gotta really step up my game. It's just like fighting the time, like
exactly.
I got to do this, but so. But yeah, I'm very excited. Like Stardom to me is the best book company in the world that I watch. Like like people say, oh, what about AEW? Listen, like I don't watch AEW like regularly. I drop in and then like, yeah, this is okay. This is okay. Not for me.
I'm about to say WH before we let's finish on Stardom, because I did want to ask you a question about AEW, but
Sure.
like when you like, of course everybody's looking forward to the Utami Hayashi Shida and Shuri rematch that's happening on September 4th. Do you think they could top what they did? What was that, in June, I believe? Like, you think they could top what they did, or at least match what they did? Because I mean, I don't have like some like eloquent breakdown of the match. Like, they just beat the shit out of each other, and I liked it, and I was like, that was really, really good. So I kind of just want to see them do that again. Do you think there's a chance they could up or top what they did prior?
No, because like they're going to be working with a 20-minute time limit.
Okay.
There's that. It's not for the title. It's to get points. So like I don't think they should try to try to recreate that or top that. Like, that's not the time for it. It's to whet the appetite, right?
Yeah.
That's what that match should be, is to whet the appetite, to like, and to see, like, I'm more curious to see like what they can accomplish with the time limit, right? And what they can accomplish with less stakes than not being for the World of Stardom title, but it's just to get points in the thing. Like, I mean, if we look at it, like they are both at the same, point level. If like whoever gets the win gets 2 points, so they're going to be tied for second, right? If like, especially if Tom loses her match, like then they have a chance of like, and Micah loses, like they have a chance of like jumping to the top of their block. So, I mean, it's interesting from like that kind of like, your real sports aspect of it.
Yeah.
But do I think that they're going to top? No, nor do I think they should. They should save that for their proper match that they're going to have down the line. Because like, I think, like if I'm the booker of Stardom, I look at like how the buzz that title match got.
Bro, the buzz was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Like, I mean that in a good way, of course, but it like, it was so many people on my timeline talking about that match. Like, and there were like so many people who saw other people talking about it, and that in turn made them go seek the match out and go sign up for Stardom subscription service and go check it out, or go watch however they watched it. Like that, there was a lot of buzz coming out of that match. I think that match did a lot of good for Stardom.
Oh, definitely. Like, and it was like it was a perfect storm, because like you had, the English commentary from Stuart Fulton and Sonny, who does the English comment, the English Twitter account for Stardom. Did really good job explaining the storyline, especially of Shuri, and like she's dedicating the match to her dead mother, who had just passed away. Like, wow, like, and then just throughout the match, so like I think they save it for like, and you know what, you pull a trigger on Shuri as the person who does beat Utami. I don't see anyone else who should beat her, like, on this roster, like, I think, and then you give Shuri the belt and like see if she can run with being a top person in the company. And I think she'll prove a lot of people, like, to show that she's like, yeah, you know what, like, she's a great choice to have as someone you put in your top mix, that's someone you can rotate in and out of the world championship picture. And then like, she's so good, like her wrestling other people elevates them. Like, I think that's like, she's like Maiu Iwatani in that sense. Like wrestling Maiu is a great experience in of itself. You don't have to have like, a 1 hour epic match with her, but just having a match with Maiu Iwatani is good for you, makes you a better wrestler. And then, same thing with like having a match with Shuri and Utami as well. And yeah, like I think you save it for a big show, like at maybe back in the Tokyo Budokan Hall, maybe back in, like, they seem to be doing a lot of shows at the new Yokohama Budokan. Like that's could be like something that they kind of put their stamp on. Like, that's our big venue, and like, yeah, have that match happen there again. And like, we'll see. Like, but like, yeah, that match I'm looking forward to, because I want to see what they can do with the restrictions, Andrew.
For sure. I'm definitely looking forward. Like, as soon as I saw that got announced on Friday night that immediately caught my eye, and the reaction that people gave, like in the quote tweets and underneath the tweet, like it was a lot of people excited about that. So yeah, I'm definitely one of those people. I know Stardom, they're gonna have some dark matches at the MetLife Dome show. I don't know why New Japan won't just put one of the matches or two of the matches on the main card. Like I'm pretty sure it would be more interesting than some of that shit. The rest of that card will get filled out.
Well, even though that they're owned by Bushiroad, they're both owned by Bushiroad. They have like Stardom has a pre-existing TV contract with another network, so they're not allowed to broadcast like TV.
That makes sense. Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up because I was so confused about. I was like, I mean, because if you have these talents on the card, I'm like, why wouldn't you just put at least one of the matches on the card? But okay, I'm glad you clarified that, so I can stop complaining about that. So
no, like Stardom is owned by Bushiroad, but they have pre-existing contracts with another network that's not TV Asahi. I forget which one it is. I don't know if it's like NTV or Fuji TV or another different one, but like they're not allowed to have like New Japan wrestlers on Stardom shows per se that were going to show up on Stardom World, and they're not allowed like to have matches. Like you can show Stardom wrestlers in doing non-wrestling things. I think that's fine, but you cannot show them having matches on New Japan World, and everything that's done by New Japan that's filmed for New Japan is filmed for broadcast on New Japan World, which is owned by TV Asahi, I believe. So
that's interesting. I never knew that. Look at you. You teaching me something, man. I never knew that. Like I would always like those are conversations I would have with people frequently. They'd be like, well, why would like it? Because the Stardom has been doing like these dark matches on big New Japan shows for I think for about 2 years now. Yeah. I believe so. Like I was always I was like, why wouldn't they just put one of the matches on the card? So that that just kind of cleared up a lot. So basically, I've been complaining about it for 2 years just to figure out that they can't do it anyway. So.
Well, you found out the human incarnation of melted marshmallow is Chase Owens, and now you found out why you can't see Stardom wrestlers on New Japan World.
There we go. The
things you learn, Andrew. The things you learn talking to me. But what else do we have on deck for topics? Like, what else did you do? Are we going to talk about for the fans out there?
Well, you want to travel over to Noah?
Yeah, let's talk about Noah.
Let's talk about Noah. I know the Great Muta is going to be coming back on August 29th. He had I think it was contact tracing, I believe. So they kept him out. And Go Shiozaki is the I say Go Shiozaki. I mean Namuchi Marufuji is the GAC heavyweight champion, and I think they were supposed to have a 1-on-1 match, I believe, or did that already happen?
No, I think that got canceled.
They got canceled. Yeah. So yeah, that was one of those. I'm
not looking forward to that match.
No, I'm not either. I'm not either. And I like Marufuji. I really do because I remember.
Well, he's not the problem, Andrew. It's
you know, like I've seen like a lot of people that watch Noah like on a consistent basis on my timeline. Like they just be like, "Why is this dude holding the title?" I mean, what is he like? 55?
It's 65.
Jesus Christ! Look.
No, it's not the problem. It's like he's like old school. He's like old school, like Inoki guy, right? Because he was in New Japan. He was a New Japan guy for the longest time. So he's not putting anyone over younger than him, right? And like the other problem, and this is like I'm like a broken record about this, Andrew. But like the thing with Muto is that the booker of Pro Wrestling Noah is Nosawa Rangai, and Nosawa Rangai is the number one mark for Keiji Muto, right? So he's not gonna ask him to do the job. Hey, can you put over Kaito Kiyomiya? He's like our future ace of the company.
That's why he got him doing the Great Muta thing again. Because I remember first like Keiji Muto did that down at the face paint and all that stuff on again, or the mask.
One, do I think Nosawa would ask Muto to do that? No. But if he did, do I think Muto would say yes? No. He's like, I'm the legend. And hey, listen, I'm a fan. I am traditionally a fan of Keiji Muto, right? But like, listen, I recognize like a worker's a worker, right? And like this guy's a carny worker. He is, like he's like fucking Hulk Hogan, right? Like he's a carny fucking worker, and he's like, hey, I got this 2-year contract out of like Noah. Hey, oh my god, I'm gonna milk the shit out of this. Hey, they're willing to pay him. Good for him. It's not so good for me as a fan. Like I have less interest in see Beat go for it. Like he should have beat go. It should have been Kiyomiya.
Like, you think oh, I didn't mean to cut you up, but I was like, do you think they're kind of waiting for Go to come back? Because I know he has shoulder surgery. He has like a separated shoulder or something like that. Like he's been out since what, like March?
Yeah,
He's
something
been
like
out.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think they're kind of just waiting for Go to get back to kind of, I guess because Go's like 39, right? 39, 40
Yeah.
years old. So
Well, it
I
doesn't mean
mean,
anything in Japan.
but
So
and I know one of the guys that well, one of the guys I've seen very very few Noah shows, but I know one of the guys is kind of sort of teetering around that main event scene is Kano. I think that's his name.
yeah, Kano, yeah.
Yeah, and he won the what's that tournament, man?
The N1?
The N1. He won that tournament, and I did he what was that? He won it like in two times, like 2017, 2019. So yeah,
I can't remember, but Kano's like he's been former GHC champion. He's been he was like he's recently held like the national championship. He's firmly in that mix. Like the person I think that needs to be like challenging for that belt and getting another run with the belt is Katsuhiko Nakajima. Right? The guy's been in the mid card. He was like in the tag team with Go. They were tag team champions, but like this is a guy that's been a pro wrestler since he was the age of 15. He's been wrestling for about 15, 16 years now. He's an elite professional wrestler. People who aren't familiar with him think of like a smarter Katsuyori Shibata. And by that, I mean like not going to headbutt the shit out of people and give yourself brain damage. And I love Katsuyori Shibata. That's not slander against him, but like, let's, just being honest here. The thing with, Nakajima is his pedigree. Like, who is he? Who adopted him? Like essentially, not legally, but essentially it was Keisuke Sasaki and Akira Hokuto, two of the greatest professional wrestlers in the history of like, pro wrestling, like male pro wrestling and Joshi pro wrestling in Japan and in the world. Like, like that's who he learned under from, you know what I mean? Like, and it shows in his work because he's just like this amazing personality. Like, I think he can carry Noah. And he's not even like, he's not even in his 40s yet. And there's like so much for him to do still as a top level champion guy, in Noah. So like, I think at some point, like within the next year, like, I think you got to pull the trigger on him. Like Marufuji should lose the belt to him. And then like you have the match because like, like the feud, the program is like Nakajima versus Go, like, cause they were former tag team partners and like, Nakajima turned on him, let him win the title, and let like Go challenge for it. That would be that's a money match right there.
Yeah, like as far as Muto goes, I think they should definitely try to stray away from keeping him back in the title picture. I think that's I don't think anybody really wants to see that. But I honestly, bro, I really don't have a problem with Marufuji holding the belt. Like, I mean, I can definitely see why people would have an issue with it as far as like, you should sort of push guys that are younger than both of those guys. But I definitely think it was sort of a blessing in disguise, if you will, that Muto Marufuji match got put off, because I've seen some of the clips and I've seen like one or two of the matches that Muto has had, like, and it's just like it ain't it.
No, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and like, I don't want to say this about Muto, I don't, but it's just being honest, it's like it's embarrassing. The guy has no hips, he has no knees, like, and like, yeah, he has charisma kind of coming out of his ears, true, but it's Noah's a work rate. Like, it's a work rate company. He doesn't have a work rate anymore. It is what it is. But like, I just saw recently, I haven't been keeping up too closely with Noah, like that Kaito Kiyomiya is tag champions with Masa Kitamiya, and Masa Kitamiya was teamed with Nakajima. He turned on him, but they didn't strip him of the titles. Instead, they had a decision match. Excuse me, like, which was like they picked, their respective partners, and they had a decision match of who's going to keep the tag team titles. So like Nakajima teamed with Manabu Soya, and they obviously lost to the team of Kiyomiya and Kitamiya. Try to say that like, hey, the tag team of Kitamiya and Kiyomiya like 5 times in a row. Very difficult, I think, for me. And so maybe not for other people, but probably for other people as well. But yeah, Noah, I think like is always kind of bubbling under the surface for me. Like, I just recently watched the what match I watched? It was Takashi Sugiura. Oh my god, I really love this match too. Against who did he fight? Was it It wasn't Marufuji. It was like this. Oh, I can't believe I forgot who he fought, but I really loved.
Yeah, I think it was Marafu. You talking about the crossover show in Sendai?
Maybe that one. It was like no, it was the Masado Tanaka match. Have you seen this match?
No, I haven't.
It's awesome. These guys are both in their 50s. And they wrestled like it was like 2006 all over again. You know what I mean? That's like, there's no, like, I don't know what Fountain of Youth Takashi Sugiura has tapped into, but this guy wrestles like a guy half his age. It's like, but with the mindset of a guy who's had as much experience as he had. And he's doing it with Masado Tanaka, who's just like, again, this guy, you think he's got to be like fucked up from his time in FMW and ECW, but no, like this guy's still going at a clip, high level worker. And these two had an awesome match. I urge people to watch the Masado Tanaka Takashi Sugiura match that they just had for the national title. And actually it was a double title match for Masado, because Masado Tanaka was the 0-1 World Heavyweight Champion, which doesn't mean anything. It's like being like, the Beyond Wrestling Champion, to be quite honest with you, right?
Jesus.
But the funny thing about the 0-1 World Heavyweight title, you know what they use for the belt?
What?
It's the old AWA World Heavyweight title belt. Rick Martel, Nick Bockwink, Rick Martel, like Jomo Saruda and Stan Hansen used to hold. That one, the one that Stan Hansen ran over with his truck and mailed back to Vern Gagne and Stanley Blackburn. They use that title belt. And it says AWA World Heavyweight title. It's a long story. There's a reason why they use that belt. It's a long story. I don't have enough time to get into it, Andrew.
I was going to ask you, do you think Noah consistently relying on more so of established experience talents, like as far as they like main event marquee scene goes, do you think that's going to end up hurting them going forward?
I think it's already hurt them. I think traditionally Noah takes a long time to pull the trigger on their younger talent. I think that hurt them in 2010. I think it hurt them in 2008, to be honest with you. And then when by the time Misawa died and Kobashi had to retire, it's like they didn't have anyone to take over. It took a long time for people to accept Marufuji and Kenta as like top tier guys, and also Sugiura and Nakajima and like Morishima, was in that mix, but he had his personal problems and health problems. Man,
oh my goodness, Takeshi Morishima, geez, I haven't heard that name forever.
But but it's a point where it's like now they like the one guy that they pulled the trigger on, like Kiyomiya, he's not been in the title picture for a while. Like he's kind of just in limbo, I feel, and but like who are the top guys? It's like Marufuji and Sugiura. That's like, and it's like look at every other company. It's like they got 20 years of youth on both these guys. Like 10 to 15 to 20 years younger, and it's like you can't rely on these guys. And at some point, like, here's the thing, like, they're both like, so Cyber Agent or Cyber Fight owns Noah now, right? And like, they also own DDT. Like, if it were me, if I would just say to the guys who I really like in DDT, who I think are really talented, the guys who are in their 30s or younger, I say, you're going to go over to Noah and you're going to be that company's like top guys. I'm going to push you and mix in with the current young guys that they got there. That's what I would do. Like, I know DDT fans are listening to this probably like, no, you're going to ruin the company. Like, I don't care about DDT. I'm sorry. I just don't. But that's what I would do if I was in charge of both companies. I would say, okay, we're going to just shift and we're just going to make, DDT like full meme company, comedy company, because that's where they're like, when they do that, I think that's where their bread is buttered on. Like, just go full on, make it like the ironic wrestling company that's it's more famous for rather than being a traditional pro wrestling company.
Yeah, you mentioned DDT. That was actually my next topic that I had written down. So that was a nice, beautiful transition right there from UWH Park. I only had one thing for DDT, and that was from the Peter Pan show when Jun Akiyama he lost the KOD title to Konosuke Takeshita. So Takeshita. There we go. I'm glad you corrected me on that. I thought I had it right, but
don't worry. I fuck up his name all the time. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, I saw that was a big title change from the DDT Peter Pan show, and I was over read that they tried to do the a double ring explosion match. I think oh god, I'm blanking on his name right now. How did I forget his name? But yeah, Onita. But wasn't he on that show?
I think he was. Like you're asking the wrong person because I am not a DDT watcher. Like,
okay.
If you want the info, go to postwrestling.com and check out the article that Mark Buckledy wrote for the site, and he's a big DDT fan, and like he'll have the lowdown on DDT that I will not, because I do not watch DDT.
But I will not.
Yeah, no, I'm just being honest. Anyone who's ever known me from like back in the Japanese audio wrestling days, I didn't want to talk about DDT. It was always Chris Charlton. He was a DDT fan, like that wanted to talk about DDT. I'm like, okay, go ahead, Chris. You talk about DDT. Did you watch it? No, I didn't fucking watch it. You watch it. Tell the listeners about DDT. Like, I'll talk about All Japan and Noah and Dragon Gate and whatever else. Like,
And I mentioned I wanted to talk to you about something regarding AEW. I was going to ask you what you think about Bryan Danielson, man, probably showing up, most likely showing up, and people have come to the assumption coming out of a report, that he's probably going to be showing up at All Out September 5th. What you think about them being able to secure Danielson, man? Especially, it really seems like he more so wants to finish out his career, sort of in a style or in a manner that he sees fit, opposed to what he's been doing in WWE for the past, let's narrow it down to say 2 years or so. Like, I think he did have a great run in WWE. Like, I feel like to say that he didn't would be kind of like it really did get started rough, especially him coming out for when he was coming in from Ring of Honor, and everybody looks at the 12-second loss that he had to Sheamus, and of course WWE not initially wanted him to get as over as he did, and then trying to act like they crafted that whole yes movement thing when it was just the fans pushing him because they knew how great he was. And then he got injured. I mean, but he had to retire, came back. They sort of botched his return. Well, did botch his return. He came back at WrestleMania and then got immediately paired with Big Cass for a 2-month feud, which was not pleasing at all. And then but from what I remember, it was when he turned heel against AJ Styles, and then he went on that great heel run that he had, probably one of the best heel runs that WWE kind of put together in a long time. And yeah, man. So now he was a free agent, had the match at WrestleMania. He main evented WrestleMania, and then now he's a free agent, and it looks like all signs are pointing to him joining All Elite Wrestling. So what do you think about Bryan joining them, and how do you think that he'll be presented in AEW as far as you can tell?
Well, just saying one thing before we get to AEW is like that doesn't really count if you fucking headline WrestleMania with no fucking people in it.
No. He did. It was.
Oh, did it have people in it?
Yeah.
That's how much I follow WWE. I don't know. Again, it's like, sure, he headlined WrestleMania twice. Great. I mean, I think the first time was more significant.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
But like, let's circle back to our talk about like all these names we mentioned at the top of the show, and Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, and other people like that. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that Tony's like, getting these guys in,
these young grapplers, man.
Yeah, because it's probably like he's probably, I would venture to speculate that he went to Bryan Danielson. Let's use his proper name, not his corporate name anymore. I hate that fucking name, by the way. Daniel Bryan is like, you know what? Just fucking call him Bryan Danielson, you fucking idiots in WWE. Fucking Stephanie McMahon and fucking Triple H. Fuck you. Anyways, like, I think he's gonna come in. He's gonna wrestle all the people who are like him, like when he was in ROH 20 years ago, right? He's gonna wrestle the Wheeler Yutas. He's gonna wrestle the Daniel Garcias, and he's gonna. I think he probably wants to have matches with people like Ricky Starks and Sammy Guevara and people like that. Like, I don't think he's very interested in wrestling Chris fucking Jericho anymore, or maybe Kenny. Like, if Kenny's like gonna be like serious Kenny, which is like, what that's like as rare as a solar eclipse, right? Getting serious Kenny, but like I don't think he's that interested in wrestling the people he's already like had matches with like Moxley or anything, like, because he's done that in WWE, right? Like, I think he looks at that roster, he looks at Ricky Starks, he looks at Powerhouse Hobbs, and looks at like, oh, Garcia, if they bring in Lee Moriarty, maybe they should bring in like if I'm him, I'd like give him a wish list. This is my wish list of who I want you to sign, or at least have on matches ready for matches with me. And that's like Garcia, that's like Fred Yehai, that's like Lee Moriarty, that's and like Wheeler Yuta, people like that, and then people and like obviously what he's gonna do? He's gonna say, I want to work indies. Okay, I want to work PWG. Oh, yeah, 100%. Okay, I want to work New Japan. Okay, you can do that. Like, and if he's smart, he's gonna have the deal that's not like Moxley, where he can work. I want to work New Japan in America. Okay, because he has all the power in that negotiation.
He definitely does
with Tony, right? Like, that's what I think should happen with Bryan Danielson, and I think you probably like put him maybe. Would be interesting if him and Punk form a team, and then they form a group where they're the mentors of all these guys, and they're like, what, we're not here to mentor the Darby Allins or the fucking Jungle Boys or whoever, or fucking Dinosaur Dude. They don't need us.
Dinosaur Dude.
we are gonna fucking help like the guys who are like us, the hungry indie guys who wrestle, because at his core, CM Punk has always wanted to be. His character's always been he's a wrestler who shit talks people, right? That's his core. But at the core of CM Punk he's a wrestler. At the core of Bryan Danielson, always, even when they're trying to fuck him in the WWE, he's a wrestler. Okay, so like that's gonna be. And hey, these guys, like, I don't think so much Punk, but I think Danielson is gonna say, 2022 things are better in Japan. I want to do the G1.
I'm telling you, like he's going to work New Japan. I can definitely see them trying to sell out one of those strong tapings. I can definitely see that happening later down the line, but I definitely think he wants to actually go to Japan and work a couple shows there. I definitely think that's going to happen. I think we'll probably see him pop up on maybe a few indies, maybe some high profile shows or something along those lines. But as far as AEW goes, I think his first feud in AEW is probably end up going to be with Miro. I can see that happening. Like I thought so because initially the assumption was coming off the report about him signing with AEW was that he was going to end up debuting at that Arthur Ashe show on September 22nd, and now it appears to be the show at the All Out show. So I could definitely see him popping up doing that after that Miro Eddie Kingston match. But Tony Khan had went on Busted. I mean, he had did an interview with FOW online, and he said that people are going to be very happy or pleased or something along those lines with the ending of All Out. So you would assume that when he says that, he probably means Danielson, because that's what everybody's being amped about. But I mean, he could mean something else. I mean,
what if he means Kota Ibushi?
Oh,
Kota Ibushi comes out and says, "Where's my fucking t-shirt money, Kenny?"
That would be a real cool surprise, man. Now that you mentioned that, you got me kind of wanting to see that. What was Kota? He's been out. Yeah, because he's coming back. He's been out for he's coming back.
He's going to challenge for the United States title. Come on.
Yeah. No. I had mentioned I had got lost in my thought process for a minute that you said that, but I just remembered that he I said that to you earlier. He was challenging for the title. So yeah. But that's September 3rd.
Like I think it's Danielson. But can you imagine if Kota Ibushi showed up and he confronted Omega? Like the internet reaction, because no one's thinking of that, right? They're all thinking of Danielson. They're all thinking about Punk and Danielson. But if Kota Ibushi showed up in AEW and he confronted Kenny, like that would melt the internet. Like Twitter would just be like shut down. Like I couldn't go on wrestling Twitter, which wouldn't be a bad thing, to be honest with you. But like it would be like, oh. And like all the New Japan fans would be like, no, and all the AEW fans would be and all the like, Golden Lover shippers would be, yes, I can restart my blog about like them being in a relationship again. The
Golden Lover shipper.
So that they're probably the most excited about if they're listening to this. I don't know if any shippers listen to this, but if the Golden Lover shippers are listening, they're probably like, oh my god, It's a possibility. They're going to be like even crazier than the Alexa Bliss fucking fiend shippers weirdos out there. You know what I mean? So.
Hey, that is a good idea. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll see some of New Japan's top stars in AEW at some point. I don't know if it'll be this year. Like, I'm gonna make a bold prediction. I think Okada wrestles at Double or Nothing next year, especially if we're somewhat out of this pandemic more than we are right now, and travel restrictions aren't as deep, and people can just kind of go back and forth freely. I can definitely see Okada working Double or Nothing in Vegas.
Well, he's got a positive relationship, right, with the Bucks, right? He's always had kept a really positive relationship with the Young Bucks. So there's that's the key, right? It's like
he helped them get into New Japan.
Yeah, I mean, it has nothing to do with Kenny or Cody, whoever, right? Like, it's the Bucks. That's the connection, right? I think if there wasn't if those guys didn't fuck New Japan when they formed AEW, then that he would have been part of All Elite Wrestling by now. You know what I mean? Like, I do think that he would have just said to New Japan, like, I want to do some shows over there. I want to do some of these special appearances over there. But like, because the relationship was so strange because of the way they announced All Elite Wrestling, right after the Tokyo Dome show, right? And we're leaving. We're forming a new company.
Did they announce that before the Tokyo Dome show? Because I remember it was on January 1st.
No, but like, they did it right in the heels of like their last matches.
Yes, right.
And they did it right outside the Tokyo Dome, basically saying fuck you to New Japan. If you don't think that they said fuck you to New Japan, you're wrong. They said fuck you to New Japan, and New Japan took it that way. They said, okay, fuck you too. We're not going to work with you. Oh, how about you said so? No, bye. Like, this is when Harold May's still part of the company. He's like, fuck these guys. They want to leave like this. They want to take guys who are supposed to be contracted to us, like, Trent Beretta. Right. All right. Fuck you.
They said it took some real convincing to get Trent to lead too. Like, they had to do a lot of convincing, because he was committed to staying in New Japan, and they somehow got him out of there. But I was going, do you think they were probably going to have Omega and Okada headline that MSG show in 2019 instead of Okada and White had Omega not left?
No, what was the deal? Like, I think that was what Omega said, right? Like, it's always supposed to be him, and then like basically like Jay White was like stand-in Kenny, right? That was his role. Is like, and it was, see, to me, it should have been Okada versus Tanahashi in MSG. Because that's like, let's be honest, Jay White doesn't mean anything. When he was a champion, he didn't. He's not a draw. That show sold out. You know what I mean? And if you're gonna give them a treat to make up for like no Omega Okada or Omega Ibushi, like, then what? No, it's going to be Okada and Omega, right, for MSG, not Ibushi. What you do then is like you give the fans in New York City the dream match that they've never seen on American soil,
right?
And I wouldn't have done it for the G1. They did that for the G1, right, in Texas. I would have said no, we're not doing that. Like, you give them something else. Like, they'd just be happy to get a G1. The first day of the G1, that's all you needed to sell whatever tickets you sold. They should have saved like Okada, Tanahashi on American soil for the first time for MSG, because I think Tanahashi and Okada deserve that. I think if you're not going to have Omega Okada, you have Okada, Tanahashi as a main event. Like, I never agreed with the idea of Jay White being in that spot, because it's just like, why just keep the belt on Tanahashi and just have Okada beat him for the title again in MSG in New York City in front of the American fans. Like, that's what I would have. But anyways, that ship sailed a long time ago. Yeah. Whatever. So
I say, are you not a fan of Jay White's sort of ascension in New Japan? Because I remember when he first came in, I was not a fan at all. And that match he had with Tanahashi at that Dome show, that was bad. I was not. I did not think that was. I think it was for the Intercontinental title. That match was not good at all. But it did seem like for a point, like after that, he started to like sort of find himself, I guess, like when he was doing the whole trying to fake a line with Okada thing, acting like they were cool, and then eventually turned no chaos and all that good stuff. Like, I mean,
it never worked for me, because like, he's just telling you, I'm going to turn on him. It's just like waiting for it. It's like, I don't want to know that.
I think that's why I kind of liked it, because I mean, it was so obvious to the point where like it in the storyline aspect, everybody else in chaos, Okada was oblivious to it, I guess, and like everybody else kind of like saw
top
like,
babyface is an idiot. Like, what a way to promote him. Okay. Here's the thing, Andrew. Like, the thing I have against Jay White is the same thing I had against like what the Bullet Club morphed into, right? And what I had against like Omega is that they're like Omega is trying to turn New Japan into DDT. That's what he was trying to do when he was a champion, right? And I resented that because like I don't want to watch like your style of your vision of pro wrestling in New Japan Pro Wrestling, because that's not what New Japan is for me. Contextually, it's like, you want to do that, go fucking work in DDT. Okay. The problem with White was that like his character, his gimmick is very Western, right? He's a serial killer, right? That's what that's what he was brought in as, right?
He's a good American style TV wrestler. Jay White. So
he's cutting promos. He's yelling at the audience. They don't know what the fuck he's saying. They're clapping for him. That's not what you do as a top heel. So contextually, Jay White does not work in a New Japan setting. And I don't want to see that style of wrestling. I don't want to see guys jumping out to the rings, delaying, like, stalling for the first 5 fucking minutes in the match. I don't want to see, nut shots here, left, right, and center. I don't want to see fucking interference from fucking Ghetto. Like, that's not, to me, Japanese wrestling. I don't watch Japanese wrestling to see American wrestling. You know what I mean?
I get that. I get that. But like,
if I want to see that, I'll watch fucking WWE, right? Or I'll watch Impact or whatever, right? I don't watch New Japan to see American style wrestling. If I wanted to do that, I'll watch American wrestling. So like, I actually liked Jay White's performance at Resurgence because my God, this stick works in context in front of an American audience. The talking out loud, the promo after, it works for these people, for the American fans, for English speaking fans.
Yeah, he definitely is, like I said, a really great American style TV wrestler. I think he really fits. Like I know there were like a lot of people speculating earlier this year about the idea of him showing up at WWE. I think that he is he like, even as we've seen on Impact, Jay White is just very that's sort of his comfort zone, like being in front of like that sort of that audience that he can bounce promos back off of and just like really be slow and so sort of pace his match the way he likes to pace his matches. But what was I about to ask? Something literally just came to my head, man, about the Resurgence show. Oh yeah, we talked about the idea of them doing Shingo versus Naito at the Dome show next year. You think they I forgot about Will Ospreay. Like I'm assuming they're probably going to go the whole champion versus champion thing, and then end up doing some type of match against that, because Ospreay's claiming he's the real world champion, and you got Shingo over there. So
yeah, so you do that for like, I don't know, you do that for the October show. What is it, Power Struggle?
Yeah, Power Struggle.
Because like Ospreay's not a draw in Japan. He's not. What did he draw? Tell me a show that he drew, right? That he drew as a headliner, as the champion. Anything that he headlined that drew is because of his opponent or because of the title or whatever, right? Do I think he can sell out the Dome? Fuck no. I don't think he can sell the Dome. Like, even with limited capacity, there's no way. Like, he's gonna draw that many. Like, I don't think they trust him anymore. I think this being on Strong is their way of like, okay, you don't want to come back to Japan, but you're still under contract with us. You're good. Do you want to go to America? Yeah, I'll go to America. Okay, you can work at America. You can work the UK. But you can do the storyline, and they'll bring him back to do Power Struggle at Sumo Hall in the fall
to formally drop the title.
Well, yeah, unify it, right? But I think
we unify it.
Why? Like, here's the thing: Shingo's the guy you go with. Like, yeah, he's older, but like he's also reliable. He's not emotionally unstable like Will Ospreay is. Like, no, he's immature. Like, when I say that, I mean he's immature, right?
No, he is. He is.
So, and like, do I think dollar store fucking Conor McGregor as a gimmick works in Japan? No, I don't think. I don't think it works in American wrestling either. I think he's a horrible promo. And horrible promos are bad enough in American English speaking wrestling. It's worse in Japanese wrestling because his delivery is just like, what the fuck is this idiot saying? You know what I mean? He's a great wrestler. He's a terrible promo, and he's a terrible character. Like, I don't think he should. I think he should think about leaving. To be honest with you, I think there are pastures that are greener for him and for Jay White. Like, I think Jay White would do better. Like, he's one of those guys, like, he has the look that if he goes to WWE, he's tall, he's muscular, like, and he's cut a promo. Like, like, if he went to WWE, and I say this not trolling, like, I genuinely believe if he went to WWE, he would have he'd be one of the best prospects of being successful in that shit system that they have over there.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Like, I think a lot of people were saying that even when the rumors were around, like around January, when they, people thought he was going to show up. But I always thought Jay White would do fine in the WWE system because he seems like the type of guy that they would want there. Like I saw you talking about it, and I had covered it for post the David Finlay interview that he did when he. I guess people sort of took notes and pieces from that and kind of think that he might end up leaving Japan, but he did say that he doesn't know what he's going to do going forward, like as far as his future goes. Like, he did outright say that, like, when he got asked about if he was thinking about staying in Japan, or he was just like, he just doesn't know, and he doesn't know what his next move is. I could see David Finlay probably leaving, but I think the thing that's sort of keeping him connected, of course, is through the relationship with Impact. He's able to do that, and with Juice Robinson as well. So, I mean, like, I don't really think it would hurt New Japan if they lost David Finlay. I think it would just be like another body that they won't have on the card.
Yeah, and with David Finlay, I think, like at some point, like, if you live in America and you're taking a 13, 14-hour flight, back and forth every like 3-4 weeks, and he's married. He's been married for like a year or two. Like, I'm sure it gets like strained, right? Like, it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to leave my family, my wife, or if he has, I don't know if he has kids or not. Like, if he doesn't, like, he's gonna, whenever he does, it's gonna be like, does he want to go on that plane? Like, like, he can, if he works, he lives in Florida, I believe. Right?
Yeah,
like,
he just moved. He said he just moved.
He works NXT for 2-3 years. Perfect, right? He's like driving to work and going home, and except when they're doing whatever loop they end up doing again in NXT, and then whatever NXT eventually becomes, like, who knows if it's the same NXT we see now that after Nick Khan's getting done gutting it so he can prepare to sell it, the fucking company, to like Disney or whatever, right? So like with David Finlay, like, I can see like that travel, like what he's been doing in New Japan for like 5 years now, like back and forth, like that wears on you. Like, it wears on almost everyone. Like, the exceptions to the rule were Stan Hansen, and for a long time, like Steve Williams and Vader. But like, eventually, like, Vader was like, you know what? I don't want to go to Japan anymore. I'm just going to work WCW. Oh, they're going to pay me this much. I don't have to travel like on the plane flight back and forth. I can just stay in continental United States. It's more appealing. I think like Jay White's going to see that. I think that's probably something that Kenny was like, probably like thinking, you know what? Like,
probably.
The Young Bucks complain about that, right? Like, oh, I don't want to go over there anymore. Oh, you hit a ceiling. You do hit a ceiling. Like, Jay White hit his ceiling. You know what I mean? Like, and like David Finlay probably has hit a ceiling. I'm a big fan of David Finlay, but like, realistically, has he hit a ceiling in New Japan? Yes, I think he has. He's never gonna go beyond being mid-card tag team guy. And like, I think Juice Robinson is also another guy that you look at and you think, you know what, dude, the pastures are greener elsewhere. Like, Juice Robinson would be a great fit for Impact. And I say that, like, I think, like, I don't know if he ever wants to go back to the WWE. Like, I don't know, like, how he would be used in AEW, but I think an Impact, like, he has the chance to become like a solid top tier guy there and make a decent living, like, I think people in Impact, like, you say all you want about Impact, but like, I think
they have a good product.
They're happy. Like, because I think they're making decent money, and like, they don't have this insane schedule of WB people. I'm sure like they'd like to have higher profile on television, like, but like, look at like Eddie Edwards, right? The guy could have had like a career just being like the top gaijin in Noah. He had that spot if he wanted it, but he was like, I just want to do the Impact, and he's happy in Impact, right? Because they take care of him. So like, if you're a top guy in Impact, they sounds like they take care of you. So, for like Juice Robinson, like, if I'm offered like, hey, we'll push you to the moon in Impact, okay, do it, take it. Like,
you want to know something? Like, some of you mentioned like that really kind of stuck out. Like a lot of those dudes, they it does seem like they really did hit their ceiling in New Japan, and it's like from here they'll just continue to be in that exact same spot like, and it won't ever go anything beyond that. Like with Juice Robinson, I felt like I felt like after he lost the title to Moxley, that's when it kind of like, it peaked for him, because he did. It was one match he had. He did have a solid run with the U.S. heavyweight title. That match he had with Jay White at the what was that? The San Francisco show.
That's the one where they injured Jim Ross and like Josh Barnett was gonna shoot on Jay White.
Yeah, that was that bad.
Hey, Jay White, Bloodsport, book it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. but yeah, that I think Juice Robinson, he had a solid run with the U.S. title, but like after he lost the title to Mox, it seemed like he got like kind of stuck up in a holding pattn. Like I know they won the World Tag League. And
that doesn't mean anything, dude.
But yeah. but yeah, him and Finley, man, like now that you say that, like it does seem like, maybe leaving Japan and, either going to Impact on a full-time basis, but I don't really know how that would impact their relationship with New Japan by them just be like, oh yeah, let's go over there. I mean, they have to work in relationship with Impact, and it seems like they can, stay there as long as they want to. I'm pretty sure Impact not going to complain.
I think if Juice and David Finlay said, we're leaving, New Japan be like, all right, bye.
Yeah, probably.
Listen, their new toy is Jeff Cobb. That's their new toy. That's their new, like, ooh, it's our American. This is our new American.
Is he there for the full time now?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't come back to America. He's living there, I think, for the most part. Yeah. Like, I can see, like, with Ospreay leaving, like for me, it's like the feud you do with Ospreay is the one with Shingo, obviously, and the one with Okada. But you also do the one with Jeff Cobb, where Jeff Cobb's like, you fucking left us. And then Ospreay puts over Jeff Cobb. You know what I mean? And then you tell Cobb, like, hey, we're ready to push you to the moon, dude. We're going to give you the title in like 2 years' time. I'm Cobb. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that position, because he's he's actually booked well. He's one of the few things that's booked well in that company, and like, if I'm him, I'm like, okay, give me, like Okan's my mouthpiece. Okay, yeah, we'll change the name of the group, but like give me Hanare as my tag team partner. Okay, yeah, keep like, you know what I mean? It's like an easy fit to just transition Cobb to like keep Hanare with him and keep Okan with him as their mouthpiece, and then you push Cobb to the moon, man. It's like, it's easy, like, and he fits that style more than Ospreay does. Because Ospreay's still like, high flying dude, high spot guy. He's a better wrestler. I mean, he's a great wrestler overall. But like, to me, when I think of like traditionally strong style, like to me, it's like Cobb, it's like Saber, ZSJ and people like that. It's not so much Jay White. It was never Kenny. Like it's not necessarily Will Ospreay. Like I think like Ospreay's ambitions are beyond Japan. I think they're worldwide. They're like America. I think his ambitions are America, and he's gonna go to America at some point. So COVID has fucked everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. It makes it interesting, like to play what if with the different scenarios with certain wrestlers.
I'm about to say that reaction that Ospreay got at that Rare Pro show was woof. I don't know if you've seen them. Like, I think people are so annoyed, especially coming off of the stuff with speaking out and stuff like that, and him the whole situation that he had going on. I think a lot of people are like at the point where like that reaction that I was just telling you about. Like, I think when people get to the point where they don't even want to boo you and they just don't react to you at all, I think that's way worse than getting booed. Like when people are just like that irritated with him to the point where they don't even give him a reaction and they just sitting down. I was like, Jesus.
I don't think his current like dime store Conor McGregor, dime store Ric Flair type of character works for him. And so it's, I mean, you couple that with like he was named in like as not being an abuser, but like an enabler and someone a blacklister, which, like there's a lot of traction to that. And like, whether, I'm not getting beyond that. You know what I mean? It's just like, I know it stained him. It stained him, right? It stained him and it stained Priestley, right? Yeah, so definitely. Like she can recover from it. A lot easier than her. Like she's just like some fucking character from fucking Coronation Street on fucking NXT UK now, right? So, but like you just maybe as a way to wrap things up, like we'll just say like for like some certain people, like they will. I think you'll see in the next few years people exiting New Japan, and just like looking for a better spot for themselves because like they have hit that proverbial glass ceiling for themselves in that company. Like, they've been IWGP champion. Okay, like one reign. Okay, I think they're gonna get another reign. No, listen, it told me a lot when like Jay White's kind of promo, like I'm the only 4-crown champion in this company. Then I knew right then and there Tanahashi was gonna get the US title. And become the only, the second person. But they were never just going to let Jay White be the only person to have held 4 major singles titles currently in New Japan, right? It was going to be Tanahashi was going to be the other person. There's no way that was going to, stand that Jay White was going to be it. Because because he's not Japanese. Right. I'm just going to come out and say it.
You think you think Tanahashi beats Ibushi at the MetLife Dome show in Ibushi's return match?
Yeah, I think it makes more sense to have him do the rematch with Archer on AEW television, and then you build to whatever other matches he's going to do with people in AEW. Like I don't know what kind of interest Ibushi has to go to America. I do think, like from my understanding of what I was told, like, and this is secondhand, like I was told. I'm not going to go into details per se, but like. There's legit heat there with him and with Omega, right? And it has to do with things beyond wrestling and stuff like that. That like I don't know, like if he went and said, okay, you want to work Moxley in AEW? Okay, do I have to interact with anyone else? No. Okay, I'll just do that. Oh, we want you to do the program with Omega. I think there's a lot of things that have concessions go to Ibushi for him to work. Like I don't think it's a problem with Omega to wrestle Ibushi. My guess is that there's going to be, you're going to have a lot more convincing to get Ibushi to agree to wrestle Omega, So we'll see. Like, I just think it's easier to keep it on Tanahashi, Like, I think you save Ibushi for Japan. Like, if I'm like, you can't send everyone to fucking AEW,
right.
You got to keep some of you guys exclusive too. Like, I wouldn't send Shingo over there.
Oh, no.
Unless Shingo's going to destroy everyone he faces, including like Moxley and stuff like that. Oh, hey, Shingo, can you put over Eddie Kingston? Fuck, I wouldn't do that. No, I'd be like, no, fuck you. I'm the fucking champion. I'm the top guy in the company. I'm not fucking putting over Moxley, Eddie Kingston, fucking Chris Jericho. Hey, why don't you have a match with Chris Jericho? Put him over. Fuck you. No, I'm not doing that.
Because Jericho putting his career on the line.
Yeah. What's he gonna do? Be on commentary? That sounds so appealing too. Oh, jeez.
So some people were saying Chris Jericho, he might be the first one to make the jump back to WWE.
Why not?
But
perfect age for it, for that company. Like I think Chris Jericho's done all he can for AEW.
I do too. Like, to be honest with you, like when people were joking about that, like about him jumping back to WWE, I was like, I don't know why people laughing. I was like, I could definitely see Jericho doing that, being like, because I mean, but like when you really think about it, like after this MJF feud, like what does really Jericho have to offer to AEW? Like, I mean, of course he can be of use in a backstage role with his experience. Like, can't discredit that. And I'm not a fan of Chris Jericho just because of that dumbass shit that he was saying last year, but he really showed who he is as an individual, especially during when after George Floyd passed away and he was doing his whole All Lives Matter bullshit that he was doing on his podcast and all that stuff. I've like lost my sort of appreciation for Jericho like once as a talent when I found out who he was as an individual. But it's a whole different story. But like with him being after this MJF feud wraps up, I really don't see anything left for him to do. So I can definitely see him riding out the rest of his deal with AEW, however long that is, and I can definitely see him going back to WWE to get his sort of his Hall of Fame ring. So I can definitely see Jericho being sort of one of the first people to go to AEW and make the jump. Because that just seems like some shit that he would want to do and talk about on his podcast anyway. So
he would be a mark for that fucking ring, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Here's the thing: if I'm Tony Khan, I let him go. Oh my god! Because like, how much money do you free up in your budget,
man?
If you let him go, a lot.
Because they signed him to a big deal when he.
For sure. Like, and I can have Danielson. Like, he's not going to come cheap. Punk's not working for like like less than what he made in WWE in his last year there. There's no way, right? It's like, okay, we got to free up some money. Hey, Chris's contract's coming up next year. Oh, we think he might go to WWE. Okay. Hey, Tony, how do you want to negotiate this? Chris, thanks. If you want to go back to Vince, no problem. Let's shake hands. No hard feelings. Thanks for all your contributions to the company. We love you. See you in the future. That's if I'm Tony Khan. That's what I do. I just make it cordial, but let him go because you don't need him anymore. If they can have Punk and Danielson and whoever else,
you would come on, man. And then more than likely they probably gonna end up landing Adam Cole. If they, you get Adam Cole's like 31 years old, so he's not old at all in the slightest. That can not even in his damn prime yet. So, and I really think AEW they should really start looking at scouting some of the top female independent talents out there as well. Like they got a lot of buzz coming in on the male side. People have come to the. You know what they got to do though. Andrew. They got to do. Just like Satoshi Kojima has learned how to use the word bitch. You got to put him in a promo battle with Jade Cargill. There you go, man. But like I was thinking, I know people think that Ruby Soho, the former Ruby Riott, probably going to end up in AEW. It's
okay.
Man.
Why did she steal a fucking car in that video?
Bro, her whole she did like a series of them. So it's like it's called the Runaway type. Like that's the whole thing. Like at first she missed the first video. She missed the train from Orlando to New York, which is I'm assuming she missed the train to New York, which is WWE of course, and that's symbolizing that. And the second one when she was in the car. She was switching songs, and then the theme music, her WWE theme came on, and that's when she started getting frustrated because she couldn't, dodge it. I guess they telling the whole story. Like I don't know why she stole the car, but like I get the story that she's trying to tell. So I can see with people who like don't really give a fuck about the WWE product in the slightest. Like when they
just make some fucking videos where you're not like talking about your fucking WWE career. Just like say, I'm just glad she didn't bust out of fucking prison. Okay. In her videos.
Yeah.
That's your, that's the small miracle that she didn't, I'm going to break out of prison like Moxley did. Who like AW should try to get, like, honestly, when their contracts are up is like Sami Zayn and fucking Kevin Owens.
Man.
Because the Bucks and like everyone else, like the Bucks are going to be like, let's get these fucking guys.
Man, but to see the thing, Owens and Zayn, I think they signed long-term deals with WWE, and that's I don't know when they get out of those, but like
I signed as like no cut. You can't fucking cut me. You got to pay out the rest of my contract.
I'm pretty sure you've seen like even on social media, like when PWG had their first show back, Owens and Zayn, they were like commenting. I know they missed that stuff so much, especially being in the WWE system for this long, and it's like, Owens was Universal Champion. Like he was supposed to be working Brian at that Mania 35. I'm thankful that didn't happen because we wouldn't have got Kofi, but it is what it is. He was supposed to work Brian at that Mania 35 show. Sami Zayn has had a sort of a lackluster main roster run. So like I can definitely see them like, contemplating the idea of leaving once they are, at that point.
Definitely. Like I would, if I'm them, I'd be like, what? Like, I have a lot of friends over in that other company. I'm sure they have a lot of friends in WWE, but like,
oh, of course,
yeah. Like, there's a good chance we'll be used better over there, and yeah. But anyways, with that being said, I think the bonus part of Post Perez bonus has been we're talking about a lot of things that are not Japanese wrestling, but that's good. We got a lot of talk about with a lot of the promotions that are running these days, and like hopefully we'll have. More to talk about in a couple of weeks with John Pollock as we return back for the proper post Perez. Not that this isn't proper. This is a great.
What you trying to say? What you trying to say, man?
I'm trying to say. Listen, no, I'm not trying to say anything. I'm trying to backtrack. Can't you see? Like I'm trying to like, oh shit, I'm gonna offend him and his fans if I. No. Listen, like this has been awesome. I am so glad we did this. Like I definitely want to do like you come back on. You did so much research for this, dude. Like it's incredible.
I appreciate it.
And I don't really get a chance to talk about American wrestling as much. So maybe I'm hoping like a lot of the listeners will be like, oh wow, that's what he thinks about AEW and or WWE, and
there we go.
See whether have what have you and stuff like that. But like I would definitely love to do something with you again, maybe on your podcast with Martin in the future.
For sure.
That would be fun. I get to, talk about like all the people I hate and stuff like that. It'd be fun. It'll be great. But Andrew, let's talk about you some more before we get out of here, and that let's plug where people can find your amazing work.
They can check me out over at the Post Wrestling site. All my written work is over there. On Twitter at AD Thompson.
Your real work? What is this?
My written work.
Oh, okay. I thought you said the real work. I'm like, this is your fake work.
But they can check me out on Twitter at AD Thompson __ my interviews at Andrew Thompson interviews YouTube channel. I have an interview lined up with a talent that was a producer at the NWA Empower show, which took place tonight on the night that we're recording, which is the 28th. So people could look forward to that. Hopefully I get it done when it happens. So you can be sure to look out for that. And also be sure to check out the interview with Chris Hero and Savannah Evans, who just debuted for Impact. I got a couple new interviews up from when I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. So,
and did we plug? Where can people find your YouTube channel with all these interviews? These amazing interviews you've been doing.
Oh, the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel.
Yeah, go subscribe, people. I subscribe. I watch the video of the interviews. I don't maybe talk about them as much, but it's like, yeah, that was a good interview. Man, he asked good questions.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. That means a lot, man.
And of course, you also do the podcast for Post Wrestling. Let's talk about those. Where can people find those? Which ones?
Yeah, Martin. I do the podcast with the GOAT. Martin Bushby, the man himself.
My nickname for him is the Brigadier, right? You should use that one.
The Brigadier, Martin.
That's right, the Brigadier Bushby. Yeah.
Martin Bushby. We just put out our Takeover New Orleans episode, which was a cool one. We're going to be recording next month as well. We probably should bring WH on as a guest. We're reviewing a very unique show. We're not going to say it yet, but I think a lot of people are going to be interested to hear our thoughts on this. I did just recorded today with Nate and Chris. We just recorded the news portion of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates podcast, and we dove into WWE's dumbass decision to squash their young up and coming talent Bianca Belair, which is very confusing. But
it's long term booking. Come on,
that's what they call it, long term booking. Let it play out. But
that's what they call it, long term booking. Everyone else calls it bullshit.
Me, Nate, and Chris did a deep dive into that. We still can't put together why they would do that, but that's a whole other story. So
the McMahons are stupid.
But
McMahons don't like black people.
I mean
allegedly
that's like the thing with WWE sort of booking black talents, man. They never have been really good at booking a black talent unless they're a heel. I know a lot of people were like, oh, you could turn Bianca Belair babyface and all that. But I'm me turn her heel and all that. But I'm like, I'm tired of seeing so many black people like in wrestling having to turn heel to get over. I'm like, you can book a solid babyface if you just have good booking. But that's I don't want to go on a whole rant about that. I could talk for days about it, but yeah, man, I appreciate everybody checking out my work, and go check out the rest of the Post family who's doing some great stuff.
Yeah, definitely. You can find me, Post Perez, obviously, usually with John Pollock, but sometimes with guests such as Andrew Thompson. You can find me doing the long and winding Royal Road, the All Japan retrospective series I've been doing. I'm going to record tomorrow, Andrew. Maybe I'm going to sneak preview because it's going to come out next week, but I'm going to be talking with my good friend Joey Bay. He picked the finals of the 1996 Champions Carnival with Akira Taue taking on Dr. Death, Steve Williams. We're going to talk about that match on the long and winding Royal Road. Speaking of which, go buy the t-shirt. It's awesome.
That is a beautiful shirt.
Go buy the Post Perez t-shirt. And also, it's another beautiful looking shirt, the Bushby and Thompson Wrestling Adventure t-shirt that I own. I wore that to work. I told Martin this story. I wore that to work. And several people said to me, "What is that? That's cool." I was like, "Oh, it's a wrestling podcast." Oh, there's still wrestling out there. Where can I find this podcast? And I said, "Oh yeah." So maybe you got some new listeners because I wore the t-shirt.
No. We got to credit you. We're gonna make sure we put your name at the bottom of the description and on a post site. We're gonna be like WH brings new followers or something like that.
That's right. Whenever I wear that t-shirt to work or on the streets of Toronto, people like, "Hey, that's a cool, because I like the artwork for my t-shirts, but man, I said to Martin, who did that t-shirt, because that's cool looking. Maybe I'm gonna contact that person in the future.
Yeah, that guy who designed that, he did his thing on that one for sure.
Definitely. So, and you can find me every week with Wei Ting. We're the most Asian podcast out there that's not in Japan or any other part of Asia, because like he's Chinese, I'm Korean. We both live in Toronto. Anyways, you can find us talking about the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, on Disney Plus, on MCU later, and we just had an awesome episode with JP Hulan from Grapple Spotlight as our guest this week, and yeah, that's a great show. We're gonna next week. It's just gonna be the two of us, but we're gonna have some cool guests coming up in the future episodes, including your uncle Nate Milton's gonna probably appear again on a future episode of MCU later. He's got an open invitation to come talk about it. Hey, if you like the Disney Plus shows on for the MCU, Andrew, maybe you can request to be on the show. We'll consider it.
I got to tune in first, man. I can't even remember the last time I saw a Marvel movie.
Oh my God! Listen, you at least got to watch one of these shows to like get on the show, the MCU later show. But anyways, you can find that every Thursdays at postwrestling.com, and you can find me at WH Park 9 on Twitter for all my wonderful toxic viewpoints about wrestling. I'm told you're very toxic, WH. Okay, whatever. What do you care? Don't follow me then. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you to Andrew Thompson for joining us this week, and hopefully we'll have him again on the future, and hopefully I'll be doing something with him on another podcast as well in the future. But until next time, for Andrew, I'm going to say take care and goodbye.